seats. Feels good. How familiar are you with "this is not it"? From going to the grocery store for tomatoes to waking up to your life circumstance that knowing that without words, beyond rationality, this is not it. Like, this tomato is not it. This boyfriend is not it. This job is not it. You know that feeling, perhaps. Here it is. This isn't it. Let's say it together. This isn't it. How familiar are you with the next one? How familiar are you with, but it's the best I can do? It's not it's the best I can do, I'm really proud of it. It's like, it's the best I can do. It's the best I can do. It's just the best I can do. It's not the best tomato, but it's the best I can do. It's not the best job, but it's the best I can do. It's not the relationship that I dream of, but it's the best I can do. Say with me, please. But it's the best I can do. There's a story of a middle-class, well-educated woman in Egypt. Her name is Nima. And Nima, at the age of 35, has fallen into that dreaded category of Asan, which means she is too old to be considered desirable, and that her prospects for marriage are practically nil because she's too old at the age of 35. So at the age of 35, one of her friends said, you know, I've noticed you're in a relationship. And she said, yes, I feel lucky. I feel lucky because I'm in this relationship with a man who doesn't consider my age a barrier. And even though he's really super insecure and his mother is super controlling, and I know this isn't it, but it's the best I can do. And so the friend invited her to go get some spiritual coaching in Egypt. Spiritual coaching. And Nima went to this spiritual coach, and the spiritual coach asked her big questions. She asked her big questions like, do you want a life where you just get by, where you're just living? Or do you want an extraordinary life? Do you want a life that's filled of aliveness? And as you go into discernment to decide what kind of life you want, visualize what each one would be. So Nima went into visualization, and she could easily see many years of this relationship with the now boyfriend who would become her husband, and his mother who would be manipulating and controlling every move that she tried to make. Or she could visualize this extraordinary life where she was in a love relationship that included marriage, that included joy, that included zeal, and she made a choice. Now, it's easy for us, or at least I think it's easy for us as Americans, to say, well, that's a different culture, and in that culture, it's an imposed external belief that she's dealing with. Can't she see that she can just poof, change her mind? In America, we can see that this isn't it, but it's the best she can do, and I guess she's just going to have to live with it. So that's the next phrase, is how familiar are you with this one? This is what's true, just live with it. How many times, even shopping for tomatoes at the grocery store, or waking up to our life circumstances, have we said, but it's what's true, just live with it. In Hawaii, our tomatoes are flavorless, but it's the best we can do, so we just live with it. In America, some people believe that every used car is a lemon, so you're just going to have to buy a lemon, just live with it if you buy a used car. And sometimes in America, this may or may not be familiar to you, relationships are difficult.
Amen.
They require sacrifice and compromise. This is what's true. Just live with it. Can you say that with me, please? This is what's true. Just live with it. How does that feel? Yuck. It feels pretty yucky, and thank goodness that Nima had her spiritual coach, and thank goodness we have Unity, whose message as a movement is that wherever we are in life, whether it's looking at tomatoes in the grocery store or waking up to our life experience, we can say, oh, there's another way. We have an opportunity at any time to transform our lives. Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, who founded Unity, have lots of spiritual tools that we can use to employ in our lives. One of the things Myrtle Fillmore said was never make an assertion, no matter how true it may look on the surface, that you do not want continued or reproduced. So what assertion do you want to make? Before I was a minister and I was sitting in a Sunday service just like this, the Sunday lesson my minister taught was all about dynamic relationships. And what he invited us to do was to create a vision for ourselves and then go to the other person that we're in relationship with and share our vision, and then ask that person to share their vision. And then we'll all join excitement, invite the other person into our vision. And the vision that we shared, he invited us to be so authentic, to come up from deep inside us. The vision that he invited us to share was inspired. It was true. It was right. It's the kind of vision, the kind of vision that moves mountains. So being the good Unity truth student that I am, you know that we're called truth students, right? Like serious followers of Unity are called truth students, or dedicated followers of Unity or excited followers of Unity are called truth students, because it implies that we're lifelong learners. It implies that we have an open mind. It implies that we're open to new ideas. It implies that we're not willing to be stuck forever. So say with me, I am a good truth student. I am a good truth student. All right, that opens the way for transformation. So like a good truth student, I went home and I did my homework. I tried this on. I took this spiritual tool and I reached deep down inside me and it was like, what do I want? How do I want to be in the world? What is it that's calling to me? And what I got back really loud and really clear, where I could stand firmly on the ground, I am called to be a Unity minister. I am called to take ideas of spiritual truth and coalesce them and communicate them in a way that inspires other people to take positive action. I'm inspired to teach other truth students that they can transform at any time, that they don't have to have lives that are full of this isn't it, but it's the best I can do, and that's true, so just live with it. So I took all this and I decided, wow, this is it. How familiar are you with this is it? This is it. Just say it once. This is it. It's like beyond a shadow of a doubt. You know in your bones, you know in your belly, you know in your heart, this is it. This is what you were inspired to do. This is what you were born for. Even if it only happened once. You know what I'm talking about, right? So say it with me. This is it. And it comes from asking ourselves big questions. Nikki and I have a favorite mentor named Gay Hendricks, and Gay Hendricks loves big questions. Are you willing to live in your full aliveness? Except he doesn't ask it like that. He asks it like he takes this big, huge breath, and then he kind of rubs his chest because he wants to presence himself. He wants to make sure he's fully located in his body and that his heart is activated and his mind is engaged. And then he does this really important thing. He looks to the right and he looks to the left, like really rascal. And he goes, So here's the question. Are you willing to live in your full aliveness? It goes like this. And why is it important that we do the look? Why is it important that we do the look? Because that rascal look is really saying, I dare you. I dare you to blow every memory, every idea, every notion, every experience that you ever had, thinking that it was okay to just live with it and to be your big, bold, beautiful self. Oh, the preacher came through. That is what life is all about. So plant your feet or plant your seat or whatever you need to do to take the big breath. Rub your heart to make sure you're fully present and give that little rascal look and say out loud, am I willing to live in my full aliveness? How do you feel?
Yes.
You know, there's another way to ask this question. Are you willing to risk everything for your full aliveness? Are you willing to risk everything? That's how I got to Wilmington. It was not in my mind, I thought. And here I am. It's like I'm living big, I'm living happy, and I'm still in the unknown, but I'm living big. I'm willing to risk everything for my full aliveness. So put the eyes up here. Am I willing to risk everything for my full aliveness? Ready? Am I willing to risk everything for my full aliveness?
Hoorah!
Hoorah! Why is this important? Your life will be good and secure when aliveness means more to you than security, love more than money, your freedom more than party line or public opinions. When your action of being in the world is more important than the talking part, you will have the things that matter most to you. You will be the things that matter most to you. There's a great simile that talks about it's one thing to know the weather report, but it's another thing to experience the sunshine on your face. It's one thing to read a menu, but it's another thing to eat the delicious meal. So talking about life is vastly different than living in our full aliveness. There's a project going on in California where a gentleman by the name of Sky Bergman is interviewing people. I think the youngest one is 75, but he has a 109-year-old, a 103-year-old, he has 96-year-olds, and he's done this documentary movie that's just now started to be shown, and he tells their stories, but he also asks them some really, really important questions. This first gentleman is 86 years old, and his name is Art Troutman. What is your definition of a life well lived? Art says, to take advantage of opportunities in education, vocational careers, avocational involvements, avenues of service, to resist becoming too retired, to cultivate friendships, and to continue living. This woman is now 86 years old, and she says her secret for a happy life is to be willing to smile about tough situations that come your way and to be able to keep a good attitude about the future. This gentleman on the right, his name is Joe Jennings. He was born in Jonesboro, Arkansas, but he moved to Los Angeles and had a very successful career in television. Star Trek series was one of his babies. Another one was Gunsmoke. The question is, what do you attribute to living as long as you have? And he says, I think that being able to do what you were interested in for a living is what has given me a long and happy life. We should do what we love. And his definition of a life well lived is it is important to be happy and constructive in what you do. And this last woman, Marilyn Ruiz, is the youngest of them all. She's 75 years old, and she says, my definition of a life well lived is family and being positive, taking each day as it comes, not living in fear and anger. And her secret for a happy life? The last words from my husband before he slipped into a coma were, all there is love. A happy life is to live in that zone of love to appreciate all of your surroundings, and to be with family and friends. A Native American chief said, "You will be remembered by the tracks you make." You will be remembered by the tracks you make. And I want to leave you with this quote from Rainier Maria Rilke. "Yes, the springtime has in need of you." That means you. "Often a star has awaited upon you to glimmer. Did you notice it? A wave rolled toward you out of the distant past, or as you passed beneath an open window, a violin yielded itself to someone. All this was a sacred trust. Did you rise to the call?" So are you willing to live in your full aliveness? Are you willing to risk everything to live in your full aliveness? And are you willing to be open to possibilities?